Goodyear takes a back seat at Pocono. The Penske pilots take a licking in Canada. And the Grand National Champion finally takes a place in the spotlight again. That's all next, live right here on Race Day. Good evening, everybody. I'm Pat Patterson. It's been a momentous weekend of racing. We've got a Cinderella story or two for you later, but first off, it's off to Long Pond, Pennsylvania, and the Miller Genuine Draft 500. It was a memorable day for Hoosier, as Jason Young reports.
The big Goodyear Hoosier battle resurfaced at Pocono with 4 of the top 5 qualifiers running Hoosiers, including pole sitter Jeff Bodine. But the battle up front would have to wait because of this slide by Steve Grissom when he added his mark to the Pocono paint. Ted Musgrave triggered the next yellow when he flattened the rear end of the Family Channel number 16. While he took his Ford toward the garage, everyone else made a pit stop with Rusty Wallace's Miller Genuine Draft crew turning in the best time. Once it was all sorted out, guess who was out front? That's right, the two of Wallace and Ernie Irvin. Harry Gant's farewell year hasn't gone very well, but today he had the Skull Bandit back in front running form. That was until the green 33 went up in smoke and caused the next caution around lap 100. For the second week in a row, Irvin's Texaco Haviland number 28 was in trouble. This time he was causing a caution by coming to a rest on the backstretch. Keep in mind that Irvin was only 4 points behind Dale Earnhardt entering the Miller 500. But the Goodwrench driver's day wasn't going well either. The 3 crew was trying everything they could to make the Chevy handle just a little better. Earnhardt was still on the lead lap. Irvin was done because of a timing change. Engine woes finally hit the 6 car of Martin, and when the smoke cleared, Jeff Burton and Wallace each moved up 1 spot. But not for long, as Wallace's engine was the next to sour. With 15 circuits to go, Burton's car needed outside tires and fuel to go the distance. 5 laps later, and the leader was pitting 2 seconds only for gas, as Hoosier Tire president Bob Newton said no tires. Back on the track in third behind rookies 41 Joe Nemechek and 31 Ward Burton, the 7Xide Ford started to charge back to the front by first picking off Nemechek and then Burton to take the checkers by a margin of 1 second over the Hardee's driver. Nemechek maintained for third, while Jeff Burton and Morgan Shepherd rounded out the top 5. I'm Jason Young, reporting for Race Day.
And Irvin's 37th place finish drops him almost 100 points behind Earnhardt, and it's going to take a minor miracle for anyone third or further back to climb into the title chase. Today's UAW GM Teamwork Award of Excellence winner could have been virtually anyone in the top 4, but it goes to Willie Lopez of Ward Burton's Hardee's team. Their best finish ever helped lock up the award, and we'd like to add our congratulations to Willie and the guys. It may only be a temporary hiccup on the road to the IndyCar title, but a Penske driver did not win today in Toronto. Brian Baxter explains why.
It was Robbie Gordon on the pole, leading 31 Indy cars to the line at Toronto, but poor alignment in the field resulted in a yellow flag at the start. Then the second time around, the green flag came down and Gordon took off. But very quickly, Alessandro Zampedre and several other Indy cars got tied up in the corner, and a full-course yellow came out. After the restart, Robbie Gordon pulled away with Nigel Mansell giving chase. Then Gordon, building his lead, lost a rear tire and ended up off course, handing the race lead to Mansell. Mansell held on and looked strong, but then Michael Andretti slipped by in the corner and took the lead away. Right after that, Mansell lost one of his rear tires to drop back in the field. From there, Michael Andretti with his Reynard chassis was the car to beat. Late in the race, another pileup came as Mauricio Gugelmin and Willie T. Ribbs got together in the corner and took several other cars with them. But through it all, Michael Andretti built his lead, even holding on to it despite a nearly disastrous final pit stop when his car fell off the jacks. That put Bobby Rahal with his Honda engine up close, but Andretti pulled away again and took home the checkered flag for the second time this season.
Feels great because you wonder what you have to do to, change things, and just shows there's no magic. You just get the car working, then it's there. We had bad luck last weekend, but this weekend we did a good, consistent weekend, qualified fairly well, and they gave me a good race car in the race, and, the credit goes to them.
Behind Michael Andretti, it was Bobby Rahal second, and the Penske team's Emerson Fittipaldi third in the Toronto Grand Prix. I'm Brian Baxter reporting.
And our congratulations to Mike, Chip, and the guys. Great job today. Up next, ASA highlights from last night. Stay with us.
Race Day is brought to you in part by Mopar Chrysler Corporation Parts and the Chrysler Plymouth, Dodge Truck, Jeep and Eagle dealers who sell and install them. By Jiffy Lube. If it doesn't say Jiffy Lube, it isn't. And by 104 Plus Octane Boost. Feel the power.
Welcome back to the program, everybody. Some people think ASA is spelled E-D-D-Y, as in Mike Eddy, the many-time champion, was at it again last night, as Mark Allen reports.
It was short track racing ASA style in Salem, Indiana, and the show got underway with a bang. Scott Hansen started it in the blue number 2, while Tom Jones finished it. Steve Scheib just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. All were okay. Back to green, and it was the Bluebird Bob Seneker out front, but right behind him was the ASA's version of the Man in Black, many-time champion Mike Eddy. The next big crash was a chain reaction after Dave Sensabaugh went for a spin. Dennis Lampman, Tracy Schuler, Yale Conley, and Bill Barrett were all involved. Again, everyone okay. Joe Knott became a member of the out-of-the-race gang when he went for a slide on the front stretch. As he tried to get it going again, fire broke out. The safety crew was quickly on the scene, and everything was okay. With a little more than half the race down, Eddy put a low move on Ray Skillman in the 27 to take the lead after Skillman had not made a pit stop during the previous caution. Just fighting for position is the best way to describe caution number 7 when Tony Raines got the worst of contact with Seneker. Raines' night was done with 25 laps to go. The red flag was needed for an extensive cleanup. In the final 15 circuits, it was a 5-car battle with Eddy, Jay Sauter, and Seneker leading the train. And that's just how they stayed all the way to the checkers as Mike Eddy held on for his 4th win of the season. Behind Eddy, Sauter, and Seneker were Dave Sensabaugh and Steve Holzhausen. This is Mark Allen reporting for Race Day.
Thanks, Mark. And the man that sits to my left knows a good bit about the ASA and is learning more about Busch Grand National every week. Tim Fedewa is here. You know, you got a unique situation. You started out in ARCO cars, you moved up to ASA, and you're now in the Busch Series, and didn't have a great run yesterday. We'll leave that one alone for a second. But nevertheless, you've been able to do that with a car owner that's been consistent in all of it. That's had to make a pretty big difference in your confidence.
Yeah, it has. You know, Randy Andewitt have been with me since '89, and like I said, we've worked our way up through the ranks, and, you know, it helps to have people like that always on your side and always backing you. And, you know, like we've put together a good team. We're running pretty much where I want to be. I'd like to be in the top 10 and in the Busch Series standings at the end of the year, and I think we're on the right track.
We keep talking about how competitive this series is, and obviously you know that better than anybody else. How critical has it been for you to qualify? You're about one of 10 guys that have managed to qualify for every race this year. Boy, you ought to get an award for that in itself.
I know. I try not to think about it every week going to the track, you know, but that used to be you'd go to get prepared thinking about how you're going to race, but now all you worry about is qualifying until the race starts. And we just go there and do one race at a time, and once we get in the race, then we worry about racing.
How are you grading yourself? Do you feel more comfortable on the super speedways like you're going to Talladega this week, or was the short track? I mean, coming out of ASA and ARCO, I would think that short tracks are probably where you're more comfortable.
Yeah, I feel real comfortable at the short tracks, and I feel real comfortable at Daytona and Talladega, the big super speedways. I'm still working on the intermediates like Charlotte, Rockingham, Atlanta. I feel comfortable there, but there's just a few more. I think experience is a big thing I need at places like that.
You guys have had the company Luxair help you. I know they were with you yesterday down in South Boston and over in Watkins Glen. It's neat to have a sponsor on the car, and I know that that's what you're really working towards.
Right. We've been working real hard. Luxair has been helping us out a few times this year, and we're hoping maybe to do something with them next year, and we just really appreciate the help they've been giving us.
How tough is it? A lot of guys sitting out there running late model stock cars, whether it's on dirt or asphalt, and they see you, and basically there's about 4 years of good, hard experience in there. How hard has it been for you mentally to make that transition from late model type cars to running these big boxing machines?
Well, it's just, I think you get tougher with each year of experience mentally wise, and you prepare, going into each year, you try to get yourself ready for it. And when you get in the race car, it's the same thing. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're running a Busch car or anything else. It's racing, and you just let things happen.
Mark View has put some good motors together for you guys. You got anything for them down in Talladega this week?
I
Have
think
your
so.
Speedway motors come along?
Yeah, Mark's been doing a super. All the guys at the engine shop and our chassis shop been doing a great job. And we tested at Talladega. We didn't run swell. We come home, cut the car up, and we're ready to go. We got her back together, and I think it's going to pay off for us.
Going back to these tracks a second time, I know Matt has to give you some confidence.
Yeah, it does too. Last year was our rookie season, and going back a second time gave me a bunch of confidence. Now going back for, I guess, the fourth time, I'm feeling real good.
It's great to see you. Good luck down in Talladega, and sorry about yesterday, but life goes on, right?
That's it.
Tim Feedwa. The NASCAR Goodies Dash Series ran a dandy race last night in South Carolina and featured one of the best finishes of the year.
This one had a little bit of everything. Mistakes by front-running drivers like Ed Howell, who luckily didn't collect anyone. An impromptu barbecue for Bill Wilson's mount. He was fine in the night's most spectacular event. And just enough sheet metal trading to keep the field bunched and the finish exciting, but we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. Lap 13, Larry Caudill can do little to keep Will Hobgood from getting to the front, which is where he camped most of the 100 laps. You've already seen Howell spin out of fourth, but he was by no means alone and did a nice job of missing this one. The finish was vintage Goodies Dash. It was a one-lap sprint to the checkers with Caudill making a final desperate bid to upset Hobgood. Everybody was hanging on for all they were worth, with Ernest Winslow jumping on the opening. But he couldn't catch Hobgood, got second instead by barely a car length. It was another typical night at the races. This was Hobgood's third win. Howell got himself back to fourth after those early troubles, and Danny Bagwell got fifth.
Don't touch that dial. In just a moment, we'll have the latest from the Sprint Car Wars as race day thunders on. And welcome back live to the program, everybody. Turn out the lights. The party's just about over in the world of outlaws, and we've still got 3 months to go. In the last 2 days, Steve Kinser's proven for the 373rd and 74th time why nobody's in his league.
First off, LaSalle Speedway, the first time for the Outlaws Tour. Andy Hillenberg on the pole and early pace setter. The battle for second, a war between longtime rivals Steve Kinser and Sammy Swindell. Pardon me, Steve, spectacular, but no damage. Swindell takes the lead on lap 16, and would it hold up? A dream matchup in the lead chase on lap 19, Kinser and Swindell. The King rules again and faced no further threat. Why is that? Look at this crash. Swindell said it was the worst of his career. Nothing on his body was broken, not so his car. In the end, Stevie K did it again. That's 44 wins on a first-time visit to a track. Mark Kinser was second with Stevie Smith third, Terry McCarl a good run for fourth, and Jack Haudenschild was fifth. Saturday night it was Granite City and MOS, more of Steve. This time he took over from the outside pole with little opposition. Smooth sailing for Greg Hodnett until he hooked this rut. He was fifth at the time. The difference between Kinser and everybody else, he hits the same rut later and no big deal. Is this man a trip or what? Kinser goes on for his 24th feature win of the year. Kenny Jacobs took second with a sore Swindell third. Joe Gertie was fourth, and Dave Blaney got fifth.
Whenever the Outlaws visit Knoxville Raceway, they know they'll have their hands full with Danny Lasowski, but major surgery recently had the date of his return in doubt. Turns out it was last night. Neil Kasselbaum tells us how he fared.
Sitting down couldn't be easy for Danny Lasowski following major abdominal surgery less than 2 weeks ago. He didn't need to hit anybody or anything, and he didn't. Others took care of that for him. Terry McCarl slowed, and Bob Weavy guessed wrong. He was fine. How would you like a windscreen full of guardrail? That's what Brent Anthill got after contact. He'll be sore for a few days. Dennis Moore also will have a few bruises as a souvenir from this little tumble. You like Cinderella stories? Well, you've come to the right place, because the dude led from lap 4 and took a wildly popular win before the home track faithful.
All week we had this major discussion in our family whether everyone was going to let me race or not, and I kind of ruled that deal and won. and we put some foam rubber in our uniform and got buckled up. That's about the toughest deal, is get buckled up and get out there. Once I got out there, I didn't really notice any problems at all. Just when you unbuckle, you feel like, oh my God, what have I just been through?
Terry McCarl got second with Ray Lipsy third. Danny Young was fourth, and Jamie Moyle was fifth. This is Neil Kassabaum reporting for Race Day.
See, dude, I told you that surgery would help you out. Now look at you. You're out there winning them, knocking them dead. Most people think about super modified racing as almost all East Coast driven, but the Western States super modified are making a name for themselves. And our Stephanie Boyd was at their race last night.
Pat, super modified machines are the fastest short track open wheelers in the country. And here at the 5/8 mile Evergreen Speedway, they reach over 160 miles an hour on the straightaways. So as you can imagine, that makes for quite a show. They started things off with a tribute to the legendary Rebel Jackson Sr., who lost his life in a racing accident at Portland Speedway 3 weeks ago. When the feature got underway, pole sitter Axel Walker in the 14 machine led the first lap. But on lap 2, Rebel Jackson Jr. blasted into the lead in the race bearing his father's name. After that, the driver of the 11W machine started pulling away, lapping the likes of series standout Davey Hamilton, who fought his ill-handling car for several laps before finally parking it for the night. There were several minor cautions that bunched the field up and also cost the drivers valuable fuel. So on a restart with 2 to go, Jackson's dominating run came to a stop when his tank went dry. That gave the lead to number 3, Randy Bauer, on the restart with just 1 to go. But when Bauer ran out of fuel on the backstretch, Jackson's teammate and car owner Dan Hayes was there to pick up his first ever career win.
Oh, it's great to win this race, and Rebel had it won all the way, and it's one of those deals where calculated fuel wrong, and kind of a sad deal, but we kept it in Hannibal Racing Camp, and that's what counts the most. So we'll bring it home, and we'll cherish this thing for 12 months till we come back here next year.
Walker was second, and Bauer wound up third. Dennis Kitts and Billy Kelly were fourth and fifth. This is Stephanie Boyd reporting for Race Day.
It'll take Hayes a week to get that smile off his face. Thanks, Steph. We'll have more on that series in coming weeks. Up next, two-wheel action and results. Stay with us.
Race Day is brought to you in part by Mopar Chrysler Corporation Parts and the Chrysler Plymouth, Dodge Truck, Jeep and Eagle dealers who sell and install them.
Welcome back live to Race Day, everybody. In the AMA Superbike feature on the Mid-Ohio Road Course a few hours ago, the Ducati win streak was broken by event pole setter Colin Edwards. Jamie James was in second, followed by Tiger Chawa, Steve Crevier, and Dale Quarterly. Last night, there was a great Grand National dirt race in Maryland. Let's take a look.
On the AMA Grand National Dirt Trail, when you're 38 years old, any mishap has to hurt a bit. Steve Moorhead's number 42 in this qualifying heat. He laid it down and walked away. The 25-lap main had the usual suspects and only the second race back for number 1 plate holder Ricky Graham. The drag race to turn 1 was missing inside starter Rodney Ferris, whose throttle broke and put him out. You want a great story out of this 25-lap feature? You've got it. How about Moorhead, the aging veteran, against Graham, who was working out the kinks after missing most of the season after complications from ankle surgery. On lap 17, the reigning series champ made the decisive move and made it stand up for another one of those storybook finishes. Moorhead got second with Chris Carr in third. That allowed him to retake the points lead over Scott Parker, who was fifth.
And finally, it's time for this week's Mopar Performance Report with a look at highlights from Georgia to New York. When you're Scott Bloomquist, round and round you go, and where you stop is usually in Victory Lane. After spinning the night before and cutting down a tire, the Havatampa points leader came out with a vengeance in Chatsworth, Georgia, and made the 50-lap feature his personal showcase. With just a few cautions, there was little chance for anyone to close and overtake the Ford-powered driver as he won yet again. It was the first win since signing a deal for Ford engines. Brian Hickman was second, with Larry Moore, John Jones, and Mark Martin the closest to the winner. In super modified action at Oswego Speedway, the parity parade continued. Eddie Bellinger made this pass in the middle laps over Russ Brown and made it stand up for his first win at the track. Brown took second over Pat Abold, Jamie Moore, and Cliff Graves were fourth and fifth. And that's going to about wrap it up for this week. We look forward to being back with you again next week at Race Day. Is at 11:30 Eastern. We hope you'll join us then. Until then, have a great week, everybody. We'll see you next week.
By Cedar Ridge RV Center of Branchville, New Jersey. Call 1-800-988-4884 and find out why Cedar Ridge is the choice of champions. Communications provided by Racing Electronics, the official communications of Race Day. For a free catalog, call 1-800-272-7111. And by Featherlight Trailers, the official trailer of NASCAR and major sponsor of the NHRA. Remember to call Featherlight for all your trailer needs at 1-800-800-1230.